Okay. Hello and welcome. We've got a whole slew of people. Oh, we lost somebody. Where did Allie go? Well, there. Welcome her back in. Welcome back, Allie. Welcome to the show where we're going to talk about the random things that happen in Montana. And I was thinking that it was going to be another week where we'd have it's a short hour. Not much has happened. Everything's fine. But then Allie sent me a text message yesterday that was 92 feet long, and it said, "Guess what happened today?" So, welcome to the show. My name is Kevin Ham. I'm a candidate for PSC 5. If you don't know what the PSC is, we'll talk about it later, but you should know about it because they're the ones that keep fucking up your internet bill. I will let everybody else introduce themselves. Car, you want to introduce yourself? You're muted.
I
There
am
you are.
Wilson. I am just one Montanan. Happy to be here. Sorry that I've been gone the last couple weeks.
It happens. Mr. Mullen.
Hi, I'm Jesse Mullen. I recently stepped down as chair of Powell County, but fairly active in Montana politics.
Allie, you want to chime in?
Yeah, hi, I'm Allie. I am your average everyday person who likes politics. Yay.
Yay. And our good friend Russ.
Hey, Russ, former congressional candidate, now executive director.
Oh, yeah. So let's start with that because the Montana plan is something that a lot of people have been talking about. And obviously, we've had some interference in our politics recently. And some of the interference in our politics is something the Montana plan should maybe take care of. So, Russ, you're the new executive director, but you're of a specific part of the Montana plan. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Did we lose you?
So I'm over typically partnerships.
Cool. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm overseeing partnerships for the Montana plan. My main goal is to build a coalition of Montanans, primarily small businesses, veterans, rural Montanans, who are united in a nonpartisan way to show that they support getting dark money out of politics finally. And obviously there's a lot of people who are opposing that. So
I don't think it's people that are opposing that. I think it's assholes are opposing that.
very much so.
I think we need to get dark money out of politics. And,
well, we've had some great
needs to
examples of that
happen.
In the last few weeks already, in the last few days already. And, yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, Progressive PAC pulling out of Alani's campaign, the overwhelming amount of money spent in this primary in all places all over the country, like Massey's campaign. There's just never more reasons to support this.
Well, and then today we saw that the Montana GOP came out with their stance against I-194, citing, the typical things, you and I, Russ, have had this conversation, I think, before about how they are saying that it's going to restrict First Amendment rights of small businesses here in Montana. They have cited other reasons that they felt that they needed to be against it. And so, the long slog to getting this across the finish line begins.
Yeah, I mean, we predicted that there would be. I mean, we're projecting upwards of $70 million going to be spent against this initiative, because ultimately it will remove the ability for those same corporations and anonymous donors to continue pumping money in. And who do you think is one of the primary sources of funding for the Republican Party? Are many of those organizations. And so it's no surprise that they use almost the exact same language as the Montana Chamber of Commerce in their opposition to this initiative. And it's it's false information. I mean, it in no way restricts a small business owner's ability to have their voice be heard. In fact, what it does is it levels the playing field. You no longer have to pay to play as a business to have your interest represented. It allows for all individuals to have their voices represented equally, which is the way it should be.
Well, I think the best part about it to me, it just I laugh at it. Honestly, I laugh at Republicans all the time. They're very funny. But I think that what was interesting to me about it is they stand the most to lose, right? Because if they don't have the money, then they're going to have a damn town hall. They're going to have to meet people. They're going to have to talk to their constituents like face to face and things, which they definitely do not want to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of Republicans who support this. The party itself obviously put out a message that it does not. There's some party elites who don't want this to happen. It will potentially make their fundraising efforts much harder. But ultimately, I mean, I was on the phone with Republican legislators in our state yesterday, and they support this. And so it'll be interesting to see if they come out publicly and join our coalition. But there's several of them who are like, we really need this now more than ever.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Are you going to name drop? Can you give us even like
not
a hint?
Not name dropping. Sorry.
Damn. I have to work on it. I'll catch you up. I'll trip you up one of these days.
I know one of the things that you're going for is to get small businesses involved with this, because generally small businesses, even if they're involved with a chamber, it's generally their local chamber, not the state chamber. And the state chambers obviously come out against this. How are you getting some of the local businesses to do this? Are you meeting with business groups? Are you building a completely something new from the ground up? I know you've leveraged your campaign resources into this. So what are the walls that you're hitting? What are you doing next? How can we get in front of more people?
Yeah, obviously the low-hanging fruit are supporters of mine already. But again, this is not a Democratic effort. This is a nonpartisan statewide effort. And so we are building a coalition using a lot of different mechanisms. One is through social media. One is through our volunteer network, who went out and got signatures.
Well, I think we just lost your mic. Oh, there you are. Muted, missing, back, but still muted.
I think my headphones died on you guys, so hopefully there's not too much of a feedback loop here. You got me?
Okay. Yep.
Anyhow, so we are focused on hitting the existing network that we already have to expand that coalition, and then we'll use that business network to grow it to a second level. So business to business, most of our Montana businesses rely, and so we'll continue expanding in each layer using Montanans reaching out to other Montanans.
Yeah, I'll just say one of the reasons that I signed my businesses up for this, and I own a number of newspapers here in Montana, and I try to keep, the newspapers away from the politics to a certain degree, unless, like they're hosting a debate and that type of thing we offer to both parties. But when it comes to this initiative, it really is about transparency, and that's something that all journalists really believe in. And if this passes, it creates an environment where not just the press, but all Montanans, all voters will be able to see where the money's coming from into our state and into our politics.
Absolutely. So what's next for you? I know you're going to be going around and getting all the people. All right. Throw some parties, maybe do some barbecues. Where can we meet you?
Yeah, we'll be right now. We're focusing on building at least a layer of this coalition. We'll be doing small business roundtables. So we're expanding our team right now. We'll be reaching out to all of those volunteers that gathered signatures in the coming weeks. We're in this weird holding period where, the Montana plan, we know we have enough certified signatures, but obviously July 17th is the official on the ballot date. And so we're kind of in a holding until that is released. So we're just doing a lot of preparation right now for call phase 2, which is ultimately getting ready for this onslaught of what we know will be a massive opposition to this ballot initiative coming down the line. A lot of money spent. We'll be ramping up our fundraising efforts, getting a lot of administrative things in order.
Cool. I think that's, this is one of the times where Montana's leading. We also saw Hawaii lead on this a little bit with some legislation that they just passed. But I do think it's very interesting that it's taken this long for us to come up with a creative way of getting rid of this. Because I don't know anybody who is actually on the ground in politics that was excited that Citizens United was decided the way it was. And in the decade plus that we've been dealing with it, I think every one of us have just seen how absolutely insane it is to see somebody, a billionaire just come in and drop $3 million, which doesn't, that's for them like dropping a quarter. And, for the rest of us, it's absolutely life changing money. And they're just throwing it around so that they can get their way because they're a bunch of whiny babies who, if you ever tell them no, they have to go out and do terrible things. And that's why guillotines were invented. Thank you for coming to my history lesson. So.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that like this won't restrict billionaire money, and that's the one thing is like this avenue will make billionaires not be able to hide behind the veil of the shell game of moving money through different PACs, multiple PACs at a time. But what it will do is create transparency for who exactly is donating to an exact individual or an exact initiative, looking at supporting or not supporting that person or that initiative. And it's Elon Musk who donated $250 million to a campaign. At least you have the ability to know who's funding that individual and who those strings might be tied to. This particular initiative does not ban individual or limit individual spending in any way. What it does is remove the anonymous part of it and the corporate part of it, so that it truly is individuals funding these donors, who those individuals are.
Yeah. One of the things that has always driven me nuts about corporate money that's been going in there, and this is especially about corporations that are owned via the stock market. So they sell stock in their company. If their stock is owned by somebody who isn't legal to vote, why are they allowed to be involved in our elections? Point blank. And so, Target, AT&T, Palantir, all of these massive corporations that sell their stock, they have owners that are not U.S. citizens that do not have the right to vote, and yet they've been putting money into our elections. And I think fundamentally, that's a problem as well. So yeah, absolutely getting money out of politics is a good thing. Removing anonymity when it's talking about politics, I think that's, it's very important that these things are done. I think you need, put your money where your mouth is. And I know exactly how scary it is to be the one person standing up for an issue that lots of people hate, and they hate you in such a way that it's violent. I mean, hell, I've run Pride in Montana since 2014. Trust me, I've seen the death threats. So I think, I understand that there is a concern with always having your name on stuff, but when it's an individual giving $50, nobody's really going to come after you for it. When it's an individual that's buying an election for $3 million and throwing everything into chaos, yeah, we want to know that. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you live. And I've got a shit flak guillotine to send to your house.
Well, Kevin, you and I had decided last week that if this initiative goes through, we need to put a little rider in there that Kevin and I get to put the the tail end on who is donating. So if Leon wants to donate, we get to say, this message was paid for by Leon Muscovich, the worst baby daddy in the world.
The solid piece of shit.
Oh, man, constipation.
It's exactly it. And that's just it.
Here's one thing to note, though. I think like a lot of people that, big supporters of kind of the Montana way of life, whether it's Montana conservation voters or some of these other ones, will be banned from spending still. And the thing is they won't. They'll still be able to participate in fundraising in endorsing, in helping raise money, what they'll have to do is set aside a specific PAC that only takes an individual on that specific thing, instead of having fundraising come from other PACs or from other corporations funneled through their organization into another candidate. So all it does is it cleans up that process. That, you know, I worked in finance for 10 years, and I can tell you we call that money laundering, when you funnel things through an organization and there's no traceable record for it. The fact that we have any opposition to this from any of these organizations in Montana, that is holding this to the same standard, our elections to the same standard that we would any other business, that says we want to know where your money comes from so that we know that it's a legitimate source and there's no fraud or corruption related to it. So as much as they want to try and make us a boogeyman, ultimately this is a really good thing that helps both parties, and that's why it's nonpartisan. We can actually clean up our election process in a big way.
Yeah, it'd be really nice. Hey, Jesse, so you've brought your businesses in already, and you have 7 newspapers?
Sorry, I can't answer that quickly. 10.
10. Eesh. Okay.
9 9 here in Montana, 1 in Idaho, and I used to have some in Wyoming and Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, but I sold those.
Oh, well, you know, newspapers, growth business.
Yeah. Hey, I own a bookstore too, so.
I mean, our bookstore in Helena is a growing business. They are so busy, you know. So I think bookstores are like the backbone and possibly the heart of a community. Also, sometimes the liver. We can talk about that later.
Montana Book Company is great. Yeah. Chelsea and Charlie are amazing.
Yes, they are. As we're talking about financing, we did have a Supreme Court ruling this week. Allie, you want to walk us through it?
Yeah, so there were several SCOTUS rulings that came out this week. It was almost kind of a 50-50 draw on whether or not you decided, you know, you felt like it was a win or a loss. Birthright citizenship was upheld, as is in the Constitution for now, although Kavanaugh did leave a legal loophole in his section of the
It's
thing that
concurrence.
they write. Yeah, the concurrence that he writes. Sorry, words, like it's a thing. And so in Congress, you know, obviously the Republicans are already, you know, starting to work on the language to work around that. I don't know that it'll necessarily go anywhere, because I think generally speaking, I think the American citizens like the 14th Amendment as it is. It's 14th birthright citizenship, I believe, in due process, if I'm not mistaken. Then also we had the campaign finance that we just talked about. Basically, the breakdown on that is pretty simple. It used to be that parties could only spend a certain amount of money on their candidates, in coordination with their candidates and on their campaigns. Now that cap is gone. So parties have unlimited ability to spend whatever on whoever they want. And so I think, you know, I'm no expert or anything, but I think that'll probably streamline a lot of the super PACs now into funneling into party donations. And as far as I'm concerned, the way I think about that is that I think that our parties are now essentially effectively dead to the people, because at this point it's created a structure where they're just going to have to do whatever their largest donors are asking them to do. I mean, it already is kind of that way anyway. I think that's why we see you know, like the Shannon O'Brien's standing with AFL-CIO on the data center issue and so forth, because AFL-CIO, I believe, is one of the primary donors to the Montana Democrats, and so obviously they have to protect their financial base. And this just escalates that to a new level where, um, like, there are days when I sit there and I think I'm just gonna have to sit here and watch, you know, like the weirdest, most awkward poker match in the world, where we're gonna see which billionaire can force the other billionaire to go all in first. You know, nobody really wins. It's just billionaires fighting.
Well, this ruling did change a lot just in the last day, because we are in a situation where people are relying very heavily on dark money to fund not just the parties, but the 501c4s that are associated, these partner organizations of both the Republican and the Democratic Party. Those could potentially go away or become much more difficult to fund if this initiative passes, which it seems like it probably will. It's got a lot of great grassroots support. It's a very popular issue in the state. You know, they've been in this process of pulling away from the parties and trying to remove the fundraising power from the party mechanism itself into these independent organizations. But this initiative will hamper that. Now you have a new Supreme Court ruling that puts a lot of power back in the hands of the parties. And more than what you would see with those super PACs, because the parties can coordinate.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's
mean,
a fair assessment. Go ahead, Kev.
Oh, well, the party coordinating is the interesting part of it, because there were so many times when and I know, Jesse, you had problems with the coordinated campaign in the last campaign cycle, because it was very sort of, hey, this is doing the thing that only Tester wants, and it's not helping to build Democrats. And that's been the frustrating part about that forever, because it was always determined by, and to tie into what Ali and Russ were saying, whoever has the most money gets to make the most speech. And this comes back to, the 1976 ruling that the Supreme Court had, that money is speech. And I'm like, that's got to change. That's the one that we really need to get rid of, because money isn't speech. Speech and writing and the words, that's speech. And if your ideas are not good enough to get in front of and engage people without requiring propaganda by purchasing activities, by making things happen, by getting people to lie, then it shouldn't be, your idea is not good enough. Sorry.
Well, and Kevin, I do want to clarify really quickly. My issue wasn't with the way the money was being spent via the Tester campaign or what was prioritized within the coordinated campaign committee. My problem was with the transparency of how that money was being spent within the
Oh,
organization itself. I
fair.
mean, we as a board passed a $6 million budget with 4 line items on it and no details on how that money was going to be spent. This is 6 or 7 months before the charging or the verdict on Abby Lee Cook comes out, who had been stealing from these organizations. We didn't really have transparency, and we didn't have guardrails in place to ensure that that money wasn't being misspent. And that was my main reason for pulling out.
Oh, fair. Fair. I mean, I get frustrated so many times, and this is my 3rd campaign, and I just get absolutely rabidly disgusted with some of the things that you have to do when you're running for office. Because yes, you have to talk to donors, yes, you have to raise money, but you also have to compromise sometimes on positions when you just want to say, I don't want to fucking do that. And what I found in all 3 of my races is I don't have that ability, which has pissed off a lot of donors. And to that I say, okay, like, I'm not selling my soul to run for office. I don't need to be a politician. I'm running for office because I want to do good things for people, not because I need some sort of a tagline on my name. Like, if I want to put a tagline on my name, again, I've run Pride for 14 years or 12 years, and I've been, a business owner for 35, some ungodly number of years. I've lived everywhere across the country. I can do anything. And frankly, if I wanted a tagline after my name, I'd go be a stand-up comedian permanently, because I have more fun doing that. It's certainly more joyful than being in politics. I don't know if you know this, but telling jokes, funny. Being a politician, not so much.
A little harder.
Yeah. And all the people that are like,
I
oh,
think-
well, you can do this. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this, but I have all of these skills. I have all of these abilities, and I know that I would be good in the roles that I've, run for, but I'm not going to compromise who I am. And that pisses off a lot of people. Okay, great. If you want somebody who's going to be compliant to billionaires and other people that feel their influence is more important than actually doing the right thing, don't fucking vote for me. I'm not that person.
But do vote for Kevin, because he's going to make the best decisions. He doesn't mean
Well,
it. Vote for
I, yeah.
So
I mean,
one
I'm
thing
going to
that
make
I'm
the
very
best decisions
curious,
for as many. Yeah. Go ahead, Jesse. Sorry.
one thing I'm very curious to see with this ruling, during the last election cycle in 24, the Libertarian Party passed, I think, something within their party rules that they were allowed to endorse outside of their party if they didn't have a candidate running for that particular position. With parties being able to coordinate and parties having unlimited spending, I mean, are we going to see money going into the Green Party, into the Libertarian Party for candidates that might otherwise not take the top seat within the Democratic Party or the Republican Party? Are we going to see new parties forming? I mean, we have billionaires that are already talking all the time about forming brand new parties within not just the state of Montana, but nationwide. If parties are the new structures and organizations to funnel billionaire money, this might be an interesting change. I mean, we might see a real growth in these kind of third party secondary organizations that don't have ballot access, but can spend.
Yeah, that's certainly a question, but the other part of that is the ancient curse, may you live in interesting times.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it an interesting conversation because I just find it hard to believe that any party structure is going to be able to go against their donors, because it just creates a need structure. Anytime you're talking about massive amounts of money like that, unless you have altruistic people who have decided, on a moral stance or whatever stance, honestly, to reject the money and stand with constituents and people and build community, I don't see how they're gonna step aside from whatever, like, how are they ever gonna, feel free to go rogue? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do
Russell,
think that parties are really celebrating this ruling right now, but it may have some very serious unintended consequences for the parties.
yeah, and Russell, you dealt with that. You dealt with people that were constantly going, "Are you going to take PAC money? Are you going to make, And you were pretty consistent from day one. You were not about PAC money. You only took donations from individuals, and you were constantly talking about it. What was the pushback that you got from? I would say party leadership, but let's be honest. I'm talking about the old school Dems that still think they're part of the party and call themselves the Democrats, but have no official position, but have a lot of influence and want you to kiss the ring.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to, is when you remove their ability to control you by way of financial strings, it takes away power. And those folks, that is their mechanism to power. And so it's the same reason they don't want to support the Montana plan. This ruling, you're right, it does have, what it does is it locks candidates like myself, like Jesse, like others who are like, this coordinated campaign may not be what I, support or morally or ethically don't align with. If that's where all the money is being filtered to, and there's no longer a cap there, the sky's the limit on how much power they actually have for financial control at that point. What it does, I do think it helps benefits that are in that coordinated campaign, because now you're not capped on what amount of money can be spent to support, to make sure that candidate can compete through party means. So it does help in a state like Montana from that perspective. But I do think it locks people even deeper into a two-party system that, I'll be honest, the people are tired of. If you get out there and talk to people, most people are sick of the rigid two-party system that is corrupt on both sides and gives them even more ammo to break out of that mold and actually do something different. And so it's interesting in a time where we're seeing, a Bodner in Montana raise a historic amount of money as an independent. It'll be interesting to see what this does in terms of party fundraising and their ability to contribute to a candidate to make them be able to compete with or not compete as an independent.
I mean, so in 2 years after Bodner loses this race and he needs to run again, but he wants a party to support him because of this unlimited spending, do they just create a new party?
I would guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that happens with, hold on, I got to mute you, Russell, because we're looping the audio. One of the things that happens with ballot access and having extra parties is they don't really come into play because of the way we've set it up, that it's, the person with the most votes wins, even if they don't cross 50% in a lot of cases. I mean, Georgia obviously has a runoff. Maine has ranked choice voting. Alaska now has ranked choice voting, but it's all manual counts, which sounds like a nightmare to me. But, ranked choice voting allows for more parties to exist because you're in a situation where it's like you have the Democrats, you have the socialists, you have the communists, you have the Republicans, you have the fascists, you have the Nazis, and you've all of a sudden got 6 parties, and people can vote for the 3 they like and leave the other ones off the ballot completely. And all of a sudden you've got 3 viable parties that are happening, or 4 viable parties that are happening. And that's key to having a democracy that actually represents the people. One of the things that we're running into now is we keep having people just literally come in and think that everything is going to work the way they want it, instead of going, oh, let me see what the system is doing and catch it, because this is a problem all around. We need money out of politics. Point blank, that's what it needs to be. It should be publicly funded. We should be having debates. We should have civic institutions where we go, hey, we're going to give you a civics class just to remind you of how voting works, because it's 2026 and some of you haven't been in high school since the last millennium. And I'm not going to raise my hand because you can see my fucking beard. But when it comes down to it, all of these people that are, I'm worried about politics and I'm pissed off about what's going on. Do you even know what's going on? And the answer is no. They've heard some things in politics. They have dealt with money in politics because it's the only thing communicating to them. And we just need it out. We need a better way to talk to people. And I've talked about this in my speeches. I've talked about this with individuals. We don't have Fox News on the left. MS Now would love to be Fox News on the left. They are not Fox News on the left. They do not have the reach. They do not have the propaganda. And even when they are talking about things, somebody's looping. That was Ali. Even when they are talking about what's going on, they're just talking like humans, which is great because that's good journalism. But Fox News is over there talking about the fact that trans athletes are going to steal your snap, which makes no fucking sense. But they're riling up the base to go do something terrible to a part of the populace that is easy to target. And it's so absolutely distressing that is top of mind. And I want to get into it more because we have, all the stuff that's happened in Montana in this since basically the primary, let's be honest. You've got all the money that came in with the vet pack. You've got all the money from more jobs, less freedom, Jake Eaton bullshit that's happening. And in having all of those things and in having those things come up, we have just an absolute shit show happening. And I want to get away from it. Shouldn't it go away? I mean, isn't that the thing that we all want? I think we lost Jesse. I don't know what happened there.
I think we lost Russ.
Oh, we lost Russ. We got Jesse. We have Russ. I don't know what's happening. I'm just smiling a lot. I'm trying to talk. Yeah, keep things going. Allie, please talk.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so sorry about my mic. I'm sorry that it's kind of a mess. I wanted to kind of play into that as well, in the idea that what we don't have that they do have is what they don't have that we have, right? Like, we need to focus, I think, a little bit more on what we have to offer as well. And one of the things I think oftentimes we forget is that while they can spend an infinite amount of money on commercials and mailers in your mailbox and media and all of these things, what they don't have is a handshake. What they don't have is an eye to eye contact. What they don't have is intuition and body language. We have that. We have community. And because we have community, that's our hope. And honestly, I personally think that's our only hope. I think it is our job now to take this to the people personally. Each one reach one. And I think that's the only way that we have a hope of actually having any kind of representation of our own. I think that is exactly why we're seeing a rise in the Democratic Socialist wing of the Democratic Party and why they're beating out so many incumbents. I think that's the whole point, is that we have the people power where they only have the money. And people power is stronger when it's actually pursued and it's actually done. But we have to get everybody together and everybody pulling on the same message.
Yeah, and we've got, with the whole, we have money, they have money and power, and we have people. I don't know if you know this, but guillotines are run by people. That is going to be my theme tonight. And we have Kari. I know you've been quiet this whole time, and you've just been chomping at the bit because it's time to talk. We've talked about the artificial use of money to influence politics, and you are our frontline warrior. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Something's wrong with your mic, Pumpkin. Oh, there we
It's
are. Hold on.
the host.
There you are. Yep,
It's
it was me.
the
I broke it. Sorry.
Okay. So,
You are our frontline warrior. Talk to us about what happened in data centers this week.
oh no. Hold on. I want to ask a question. Has there ever been a
Okay.
PAC that announced the way that they did with that candidate for U.S. Senate? I mean, has there ever been a PAC that came out ever before that was like, you know what, guys, we gave her $2.3 million, but fuck it, we're gonna pull it away. I mean, has that ever come out before? I've never seen a presser like that before. Anyone else?
No,
Not
and-
exactly
and-
like that, but there are PACs that have played dirty tricks like it before. I mean, even here in Montana, I was talking to a journalist who's talking, who was it? Who's the guy that ran for House and wrecked his boat?
Reaper.
Denny Reberg.
Yeah, Denny Reberg.
I was just
I
talking
think,
about that the other day.
yeah, they had paid some group to put out a bunch of flyers for, I think, the Green Party candidate. And like, it's not totally unheard of for Democrat allies to
Yeah.
start paying for advertising for libertarian candidates. But I think what we saw with Alani Bankhead's race, it was kind of far above and beyond what we've seen in the past. I mean, what, $4 million?
3, but yeah, I
Three,
mean,
yeah.
multiple millions. Let's be quite clear. And on top of that, the part that makes me the most angry about it is their extraction letter, I guess, that they released when they said they're not going to support her anymore. Use the same verbiage that Bodner's latest
Right. I mean,
has
totally
used.
unnecessary. It was a shitty
Oh,
thing
they
to
all
do.
can
but
do
it's like-
better. You're
But it's
pathetic.
like, exactly. But you guys are supporting data centers. Throw it in Claude and get a different fucking line.
Let's let Russell go. Let's do that. Let's let
Okay.
Russell, let's let him go. Like, we all, I get it. Like, let's let him off the hook.
All right.
Can we
Go
do
for it,
that?
Russell.
Is that okay, Russell?
Yeah.
With all due respect, can we let you off the hook and we'll just let you go?
Let me off what hook?
Well, because we're gonna get mean. Like, I don't want, you're doing this beautiful thing for the state, and I just want you to, you know what I'm saying?
You don't want me to be associated with your madness that's about to unfold? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm trying to be so good. Okay, so
It is your call if you want to stay or go. I'm perfectly happy with you being here, but we're
Okay.
about to get to the segment of the show that I like to call, tense. So
did
Is
you
this
see
the
that
boom part
AFL-CIO
of
stuff?
tick tick boom? Is this the boom part?
yeah, this is the last tick, just so you know.
I'm here for the boom. I'm gonna put myself on mute and watch the carnage unfold. So have at it.
Fair enough. All right, Kari, take us
Well,
down.
there's so much that we need to talk about. There is an initiative in Yellowstone County that I need everyone to get behind. They do have. I've got my hands on it. I'm gonna go start collecting signatures. Here is the initiative language, right? 20,000.
20,000 signatures in Yellowstone
20,000
County.
signatures needed by August 11th.
In Yellowstone County?
In Yellowstone County only.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
no volunteer base. It's been so we're doing our things, right? Okay, so let's see. The crazy stuff in data centers this week. So there was this jackass data center developer that was building right by the Colorado River. And he goes, hey guys, as he's building it, he's like, hey guys, I won't use any of the water in the river. We'll use all the water up. So now he's suing to get access to the water. Let's trust these data center developers. They're great guys. And then you've got the Georgia pipeline. Let's talk about the Georgia. It was a upper class of homes. They noticed that their water pressure was low. The data center had stolen 30 million gallons of water, but they're not having discrepancy on the amount of water that was stolen. The discrepancy comes from the water company is saying, hey, it was 4 months. The data center company is saying, no. It was 9 to 18 months. That's how long we stole the water. Think about that. They don't care that they stole water. They don't give a fuck. They care about the timeline because remember, they're selling us this crazy closed loop system bullshit. It doesn't exist. And I do not want to hear about your cousin who worked in the data center who saw it one time because he walked by the room ever again. I never want to hear that shit again. And I do think that people are tired of it. Like, look, I'm tired of the Democratic Party. What I saw at the platform, I was not impressed. I'm very impressed with the people I stood with on my. We put up 1,000 and we got 1,000. We did not get the full ban. We were one off from the full ban, and I think we need to have a really conversation about the weenies that are in the Democratic Party. The ones who want to stay neutral, the ones who don't want to take a stand, the ones who just want to, I kept thinking of the saying, go by to get by, go along to get along. We can't do that. We cannot do that. You've got the AFL-CIO laughing in your guys' face. They're laughing in your face. They had no problem. And I literally had to look up who Eisenhower was. I was like, who the heck is that guy? I had to look him up. Like, that was insane to me. And these guys get to have a voting right against Democrats who come, a concerned mom who comes to the platform to talk about it and have, and then, oh, I'm too emotional. I'm not on your radar. Like, give me a break. I don't know. That platform.
Well, Carrie, and let's take that one step farther, right? Because now, a week after that, at the AFL-CIO convention, Forstag is quoted in the article as getting a nod from the leaders of the AFL-CIO and saying, well, everybody says that they're for workers' rights when it's convenient, but at the end of the day, we need an elected official who will vote for them. And I'm like, if you aren't telling everybody that you're going to vote for these data centers, no matter what, I don't know what else that would be classified for. Like, to me, that's exactly what that said.
Exactly. Now that, yeah. Mm-hmm. And that man doesn't take a stance if his life depended on it. Like, I tried to corner him at the convention and like, hey man, I need you to stay at the very end, which Russell did, by the way. Russell stayed for the very end for the full ban because I was bringing that question back up at the very, very end. And if you even knew the drama that I went through, and you guys were like, oh, she's a little crazy. No shit. Like, this is insane. The shit that I went through to get to that fucking 2/3 vote. We came up short. I'm still bitter, clearly. But I asked him, I said, Sam, I need you to stay till the end. Please, 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 please. Like, if you really want to, like, be our hero on this. And his campaign manager, like, because we've known each other from like years ago, was like, oh, hey, Carrie. And I was like, and they took my attention away and Sam ran. And I was like, oh. So yeah, no, I was very disappointed in Sam at the convention.
Yeah, but also then today we saw Ryan Bussey come out publicly against data centers as well. And so to me, I got to tell you, like, it speaks a lot to me as just an average voter to see guys like Russell Cleveland and Ryan Bussey now serving the community after the campaign. They aren't just fading away into obscurity until the next election season, right?
Yeah.
That is what leadership looks like. And that is
They're
the
not-
leadership that we need and deserve.
Yeah, they're not playing Jill Stein Part 2.
What? Jill
Oh my
Stein.
God, it's been 4
I
years.
can't.
That's
She's
Nope.
like a cicada.
I mean,
Now
right?
this girl's gonna shut up on Jill Stein.
For me with the candidates, I hate when they sit out. You lost your race. Yeah, that sucks. Get back up. You know what I mean? And like, okay, I have lost the race where I stayed in bed for 3 weeks, but whatever. But for me to tell the public, even like if you write it down on a Facebook post hey, I'm still here, we're still fighting, and I'm still here. I think it's inappropriate. Like for me, Harris will never get a vote for me again because she sat out for so long. And like we, the people, are living underneath this, Trump's presidency and da 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 da. Where's our heroes in the Democratic Party? And I don't see any.
That's a great point, Carrie. And that is one of the things that I think is so important and also so impressive is there are people who run for the title and there are people who run for the job. And the people who want to do the job will do the job without the title.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not going to do the job without the title, then you don't deserve the job or the title.
Yeah. Well, okay. So data centers. One of the things that I've been looking at lately is the usage on water and the usage on electricity and how far they've gone up. And Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, the data center they're proposing in Broadview uses over 7,000 kilowatts. Is that correct?
It's if you combine the first 1,000 they told us about and the 17,000, it comes to like 8,300.
The total use for residential electricity in Montana is not that. It's less than that.
760. I'll show you a chart. Hold on. I'm making posters. I'm not even lying. I'm making posters with all this information.
I love that Carrie has visual aids, and I'm like sitting here at a desktop with literally some of the most modern, and I have nothing. I'm like, whatever.
Who doesn't love a good visual aid though? Like whiteboard?
Exactly.
Yes, please. Let's see
it.
it.
No. You should see my signs for the initiative. Oh, Russell, will you maybe make your way to Yellowstone County and Santa Fe so we get some signatures? You can make me thousands of signatures. I mean, so not to put you on the spot, but next time. Okay. So here,
let me reverse your camera so that I can.
Okay.
Let me see camera.
I'll show you what we were talking about.
Can I do that?
So this is what Quantica is asking for, right? 8,835 megawatts. Okay. Here's the chart. This is what we use now.
There we go. Now we can read it.
Okay.
Cool.
So this is what Quantica is asking for. And this is just one. And I have it on good authority that Northwestern was telling their shareholders that they have over 100 data centers coming to Montana. So this is our usage right here. Like 700, I think it's like 750, 760. 760. Okay, so 760. And right now on the grid, we have the 250, right, from Savvy. And then we've got the 150 from Atlas. And Atlas, because the money is now in data centers, is switching from crypto mine to data center. But yeah.
Okay. And
then you guys got to remember, we've got Lindsay coming in at 1,000. Lindsay, Montana. So yeah. But this is where, okay, so let me show you one that was really shocking to me. My printer sucks. Buy good ink. I learned that. But so here's a good diagram. This right here shows you how like off base we are. So this is how many data centers throughout the world. This big one is 5,381. That's in the USA. The one that's closest to it is Germany and Great Britain, and that's at 514, and I think that's 521. Just so you guys see, like we are the.
How many are in China?
China is 312.
So we're an order of magnitude above China already.
And that's for not having, and that's even for not having the same technology that China has. Like China has made leaps and bounds when it comes to all kinds of electronic technology as well as energy production.
And they've lost billions because they rushed their data centers. They had to build them all out. And then when they had their AI bus, which is coming to America, when they had the AI bus, they lost billions on it. And then here's a really good chart. You guys probably can't see it. But Montana, this is operational, and then this is under construction and then announced. Montana, this is right where we want to be, right where we need to be. Montana is 4 that are operational, and 0 that are under construction. If we can stay there, we can stop these fuckers. That's the goal. So and then we have 11 that have been announced, which we know.
Here's the thing. I will tell you, I was not for the ban completely because I want to be involved in the conversation about data centers, because what I worry about is that they're going to do, because, and here's the thing, they were called crypto mines before, and now they're rebranding them as data centers.
Mhm.
And so I'm worried about if we do a ban on data centers and put that in there, they're going to give it some other name, call it some other thing, put it in there and bypass it because the law is specific. I want to be involved in the discussion of the law, because no matter what sort of facility you build that has a boatload of computers in it and that is going to require cooling and electricity going into it, I want to make sure that it is doing it in a way that is not destructive to our environment. And we have had far too many discussions go on where we have been told that, oh, hey, we're just going to tell people that it's this other thing and we're going to lie about it. And because, it makes me so angry when they do this, because they find different ways. And the mining companies did this too. They're like, oh, well, I'm not that company. Like, really? You're not the Anaconda company? You've got the same goddamn executives. You got the same fucking stock. You've rolled over 3 times and have a different name. And now you're going to come in and go for, oh, what was it? Copper, and ruin another river in the state of Montana because you people are too stupid to do it. It's so irritating. And I want to make sure that we don't end up in that situation, because I feel like that's what we're setting ourselves up for in certain ways.
Oh yeah, like we're already seeing the manipulation on the words, right? Like we're already seeing, like we went over that Tester clip, and now that I learned that Tester is sitting on the National Security Advisory Board for Anthropic, that makes so much more sense. I was like, that's why I was hearing right to compute arguments, even in just that clip, but in that interview. In that interview, was attempting to manipulate the words. He was trying to say that the arguments were not what they were, that they were not nuanced, that we were not intelligent about how we were presenting our arguments. He then presented the idea of inevitability, that they're inevitable no matter what, and he did so with the right to compute framework of, well, it's either us or China, he said. And I'm like, he clearly doesn't know enough about data centers, to be honest with you. Like, I don't know, maybe he does, but he sure doesn't sound like it, or maybe he's trying to pander to people. But I think it's important that we remember that's an important part of it as well, as the right to compute. Because here's the thing, when they talk about closed loop systems and when they talk about all of these things, right, even if you want to entertain them being an actual thing, the fact of the matter is they're fucking expensive. They're real fucking expensive, and these guys are out of money. They're out of money. That's why they're all trying to IPO this summer, so that they can raise more money to build out their technology more. Well, if they're out of money and they need this infrastructure to do that, they need to be able to pass that cost on to American taxpayers. And so when we hear the right to compute arguments, that's what we're hearing. Is we're hearing them manipulate the issue and manipulate the wordplay so that they can make us feel okay as taxpayers for paying for these data centers, for paying to upgrade this infrastructure that they're going to benefit from, that they're going to collect the profit from, that they're going to complain when it doesn't work. They're going to get priority. It'll be us that'll have the brownouts and blackouts, and that are already having that. And so when you talk about this issue, you have to really pay attention to what's being said, because you can hear the telltale signs. Well, it's a national security threat, so it's infrastructure. So that means that the taxpayers have to pay for it, because otherwise the country is in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the play.
Rate based is also another term where that means they're sticking it to us.
Yeah.
I've been going over some of the stuff that PSC has been doing in the last 4 years, and I'm just disgusted. Just disgusted. Like, we have we have amazing technology in this country. We have amazing scientists that are learning new things about how physics works and building new things and inventing new things and making it cheaper and cheaper to capture electricity and put it onto the grid for use for people. And we keep having politicians and greedy fucks just ruin it. And then you get into these situations where all of a sudden, and I'm not even getting into the argument of AI. I have problems with AI. We're not going to get into that. Just we need, say we were building something, say somebody figured out how to build an engine that can go faster than light, but in order to power it, we have to put 8,000 megawatts into it in 10 minutes because it has to be fluxed in that fast in order for it to be able to do it. And then it uses that and it, we could jump to the moons of Centauri. Great. But the problem is our grid can't handle that because even though we have these great inventions, we haven't had companies that have been investing in the infrastructure to be able to move that amount of electricity. So we get in these situations where, people call it a chicken and an egg thing, but it's not. What it is you're just not investing in infrastructure. You're terrible people who are lining your pockets with money and stealing from the public, and you're backed up through public entities like the Public Service Commission who don't do their job. And on a regular basis, you are literally making the world worse. You should not be allowed. It's just frustrating. And as much as I don't want to have the conversations about why we shouldn't have an 8,000 megawatt data center that uses more water than the Yellowstone River passes in a year and releases PFAS on a level that makes the PG&E plume in Aaron Brockovich seem like a nice place to go make mud pies for lunch. No, why can't people who run businesses not be sociopaths? I don't get it.
Well, you're right on there. Let's ignore the environmental damage that these things are going to cause. Let's ignore the bullshit jobs argument that is going to create these jobs. It's not. Let's ignore all the jobs that this AI is going to kill. Let's just talk about all of that usage, all that energy that it's going to suck up, and what that's going to do to the pocketbook of every single Montanan in this state. I mean, we can't afford rent, we can't afford our health insurance, we can't afford our groceries, we can't afford gasoline. And now we're going to subsidize these fucking data centers.
Yeah.
So these companies like Anthropic can make another few billion while, I can't afford daycare anymore because they just killed Head Start. I mean, what the fuck do they think they're doing? And this is why when we have these conversations with people like within the AFL-CIO, we get that they want to create temporary jobs and that a lot of that industry is stringing together temporary jobs. Well, guess what? We can't afford our fucking groceries, you guys. Like, let's have a very real conversation about what you're building and what it's going to do to every other person in this community. So let's talk about real solidarity and standing with the people in your community, standing with your neighbors and your family members, and supporting them, supporting the workers of this state who cannot get by on a day-to-day basis because of assholes trying to build data centers.
Yeah,
And
I get it.
additionally, let's talk about the idea, to tail onto that, Jesse, you're 100% right. Like, there is nothing saying that if you weren't to stand in solidarity with Montanans, as you should, because these are the same communities that your union workers live in and work in. It's their drinking water as well. It's their energy bills as well. They are struggling every bit as much as the rest of us are. Why don't you stand in solidarity with us, and why don't we work together on finding you other good paying jobs?
Oh, I mean,
Finding
what they're
you
suggesting is absolutely insane. I mean, we're getting to a point here where the AFL-CIO is going to get one of these jobs and send their union members across a picket line because they supported the data center. I mean, that's the looniness, that's the backwardness of what we're talking about right now. The money that is being poured into this state to support these data centers is absurd.
Well, and I'm running for the PSC, obviously, so I have a little bit of a bias as to what I'm into and why I'm doing what I'm doing. But one of the things that I think that the utility companies should be responsible for is making sure that the grid is capable of actually handling this amount of energy. Right now, it's not. I mean, right now it fails periodically, and we burned the city of Denton down. Well done. Let's make sure that we can do these things. That your high power transmission lines aren't on a power pole that was put in the ground before I was born, which I would point to my beard again to explain to you people that it wasn't yesterday. You know, these things are old. You've made unsafe working environments for linemen. You've made unsafe working environments for anybody who works near a power pole, because if the wind comes up and knocks that over, that's a live wire. That's going to be a problem. And by not investing in the infrastructure, they're now caught flat-footed and trying to do this thing where they're, oh, well, we'll just build another gas plant. Bullshit. Kari, how many megawatts is the Laurel plant put out?
175.
So 175 megawatts is coming out of the Laurel plant. And they've got one data center that's going to need 8,000. And if you remember, the Laurel plant went in because Northwestern Energy just decided they were going to do it. They built it. The county didn't want it. The county commissioners tried to stop them. The state really kind of maybe sort of intervened, but really what happened is they just built the fucking thing. And then turned around and said, hey, we built this infrastructure. We need to increase your rates because we got to pay ourselves back for the money that we spent on that. Are you fucking kidding me? It's not my job to pay for your infrastructure. We gave you the infrastructure that we paid for. We paid for the dams 3 fucking times.
Yeah.
So there's just a level of, this is not what we signed up for as citizens. And it's disgusting that we continue to see on a regular basis these people come in and go, oh, well, it's going to just be fine. Really? Really, fucker? You want to tell me where it's going to be fine? Because I don't see it. I don't see it at all.
I don't,
And
and I think it's okay to be emotional and be upset and get in someone's face over this. Like, cry me a river if you don't like that approach. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way this is the biggest. I don't know how these things have gotten over 5,000, and I've never heard of these damn things before. These hyperscales. I mean, like, just the construction alone. Like, how did we miss this?
mm-hmm.
Well, and Carrie, like, let's call it out as well, right? When they talk about emotionality or passion, oftentimes what they're talking about is just a typical tactic used to delegitimize somebody who's onto something.
Yeah.
It's when it starts to hit home is when they start saying, "Oh, you're too emotional. Oh, I don't understand why you're so mad. You're just a bully. You're just so mean." And it's like, well, okay, listen, I am not above reproach. I'm happy to take criticism and to refine my approach to some extent, sure, but that's not going to lessen my passion about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't, because oftentimes people forget that it is that passion, it is that energy and that focus that moves the chains, so to speak. If you were to put it in football terms, these people like Carrie, who have all this passion and who have this drive to get this done, these are the linebackers that are on the line moving the chains, and it is our job to support them. It is our job to come in behind them and step up to their level of passion so that they are supported in the very hard work that they're doing on the front line.
Oh my God, someone cut that for me, that sound bite. I need that. That needs to be over just for Montana events. Oh my gosh, I'm like trying not to cry. That was beautiful. I love the way you say things.
Well, thank you, but it's the truth. I think it's so important that we remember that people are so afraid of emotionality and they're afraid of confrontation, and I understand. Confrontation is fucking uncomfortable, man. I don't like it either. Like, I avoid it as much as possible. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes it just needs to happen.
And we do it on this show.
That's right, we sure the hell do. Why do we ever? But the important part is that we remember behind that emotionality is something serious. It's human. It's humanity. It's caring about what happens not just to ourselves, but to those around us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we cannot all at some point when it gets tense, take a step back, take a deep breath, and then come back to the table and let's figure this out, because we remember where everyone is at, right? We remember that we're all here to accomplish the same thing. we're all working towards the same goal. We
Yeah.
just have different ways of going about it, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But at some point, we have to be able to recognize we're on the same team, and we need to back each other up when it
Yeah.
counts against
Yeah, I
people
mean,
like the AFL-CIO and Sam
peop
Forstag and John Tester and Sam Altman and Anthropic.
Peter Thiel.
people are allowed to be emotional. People have very good reason to be upset about these issues. But it's not just the Democratic Party. This is what happened within the Republican Party 20 years ago. The Tea Party took over because there were a bunch of people that were upset with these emotional Tea Partiers, the MAGA, that were trying to come in and take over the party. But really what was happening is you had a group of people with enough privilege not to actually be impacted or affected by the policies that were making those people emotional. We're seeing the same thing within the Democratic Party. That's why we're seeing the Democratic Socialists do so well. It's not just because they're reaching out to the people, they don't automatically have the people. These are candidates and they are people who are being affected by these bad policies. And leadership within our party have the privilege of not being affected by it in the same way. And so they think it's irrational. They think it's overly emotional. Well, you know what? You haven't had to fucking decide if you had paid for electricity or your health insurance
Yeah.
this month.
And there is our collective breath. All right. Well, I think we have covered just about everything. The only thing we haven't covered was the SCOTUS decision on trans athletes' bans.
Fuck
Can I take?
Is that
them.
something we
Fuck
want to talk about, or do we
them.
want to save that for next time and do it more justice? What do you guys think?
I
Do it
don't think
next
you
time,
can
Elizabeth.
do justice to an injustice.
I'm just
The
talking
basic premise
about it,
of
but
this is, as soon as you put rules in place that are going to require you to police women's bodies, all women lose. You have
yes.
put women in a
Yeah.
place where they have to prove that they are of an ideal that someone else is holding in a way that puts them in. I mean, basically, you're setting them up for sexual assault. It is disgusting. It is not going to accomplish any of the goals other than destroying Title IX, which is the ultimate goal of what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That is a stated goal that wasn't public. It's not like they put it out in a press release, but it was something that they've talked about. And
Let's talk about that for
using
just a second, if we can. Because here's
sure.
what's interesting to me about Title IX, right? Like, Title IX was written so that women could be included in sports, not so that men could be excluded from women's sports, so that women could be included in sports. And so, this whole narrative that Title IX is to protect women's sports as a this but I don't even know, like, this segregated thing is just backwards from the whole point of Title IX. Title IX
Yup.
was instituted because women were not allowed to compete in men's sports. Title IX in and of itself, in a lot of ways, now is just being treated like Brown v. Board of Education, separate but equal, right? Which is just garbage, if you ask me, to be honest. But I think it's interesting to see that that's the framing and that's what people are running with. And then, of course, we have Gianforte comes out today and he says major victory. And I'm like, how it just tells you what the priorities in this state and among our leadership are, that preventing, like, what, 10 people nationally or whatever from playing non-professional sports is a big major win, victory, woo woo,
But
Well,
yay.
it's
but
not even just
but
about the
fuck
trans community.
feeding kids. That's fuck
We
feeding
can't do
kids.
that.
And schools don't need any more money. Education doesn't need to happen.
Right.
Healthcare, fuck that. You don't need that. We're worried about trans people running too fast.
Right.
And I guarantee the result of this is going to be sexual assault on young women. I mean, it's
hmm
always going to be young women being accused of not being who they say they are or who they are, and being assaulted or being checked. That's what's going to happen. We're going to keep
And we have
10 people in the
evidence that
state
this
out of
is what's going to
sports, and we're
happen.
going to see hundreds of young women assaulted by adults.
Yep,
That's what will
and
happen.
we have evidence that this is exactly what's going to happen, because this is what happened in the 70s when tennis tried to institute this exact ban. They did it for 4 years, and then they had to remove it. Why? Because people were literally getting put into positions of assault by authority, and that will go back. That will make it. If you do this, you will get sued. I mean, they're going to be able to say, "Well, we did it to keep trans athletes out." Well, you should have known this person was a real woman. Makes no goddamn sense. You're going to create trauma. You're going to not help sports. You're not making women more equal. You are removing their equality. You're basically saying that you don't believe any woman whatsoever about who she is.
Yeah, you're not protecting a woman's opportunity. You're not protecting women's safety. I mean, not that they do anyway. Look, I mean, let's just be honest. Women are sexually assaulted in sports all the time. We can point to the U.S. National gymnastics team just a few years ago with Simone Biles and so many others having been assaulted by their doctor,
Mhm.
their team
The
doctor. And
team
so
doctor.
this does not
My
help.
daughter's high school, Powell County High School, our local sheriff's deputy just had to resign from the force because he's currently undergoing an investigation through the AG's office. He was the only law enforcement official in Powell County doing sex crime investigations. He was also a high school wrestling coach, and he's now under investigation by the AG's office for sleeping with high school girls.
God, ugh.
I mean,
So
this is
apparently, the
a week
AG's
ago.
office on sex crimes is run by takes one to know one.
Hey, what's
Well done,
uncomfortable?
Austin Knutson. Jesus Christ.
Heyo, and here we are.
Hmm.
I'm glad somebody
Calls them
said it.
like to seize them.
I'm just saying, right? It's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I am disappointed in it. Obviously, they they based it on biological sex, and even at that, like it's like they
But
don't
they don't
agree
even
that
understand it.
no, they don't, because like intersex people exist, right?
And
Androgen inhibited uptake exists. Like there's all kinds of things. Swire syndrome is a thing. And
Mhm.
so it's the idea that we're letting people who literally don't know anything about it function off of their fifis and their
we're
insecurities.
we're letting people who get their sex ed from a book written by ranchers in the 2,500 years ago who had problems with letters uh tell us how to live our lives. And I just I'm tired of it. Tired of it,
Yeah.
tired of it, tired of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have more to discuss next week. Jesse, thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
And a big thank you to Russ Cleveland also for joining us. We lost him there, lost the connection there towards the end. Carrie, we must have lost her connection as well. Thank you to her for being here. I love Carrie. She cracks me up. She's like the spice of life. And so, yeah, thanks to everybody for having me here. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, and we'll see you next Wednesday, 6 p.m. Hopefully, we'll have some other people join us. And Jesse, you're welcome back anytime.
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
it's always great to have people. I will tell you, we're not always going to agree, but at least we can have a little spicy conversation where people can go, "Oh, really? Adults that don't agree on everything?
Yeah.
What a new
Mhm.
concept." Thanks for being here, everyone.
All right.